Steelers head coach introductions, pretty rare. Last one was in 2007. Mike McCarthy introduced today as Mike Tomlin's successor. He was asked about his old quarterback, Greg. All right, Greg, I know yesterday in the OT you talked about the fit, so it's sort of Greg's choice here. Do you want to talk about the fit, or do you want to kick around Rodgers and McCarthy?
I mean, I guess we can do both.
All right.
We can do both. Look, in terms of the hire, I don't mind it, and I also can understand it from the Pittsburgh perspective, where when listening to that interview, that presser, like obviously there's a relationship tie there with Omar Khan, where if you're a general manager and you're bringing in a new coach, the likelihood of you having a lockstep guy is very unlikely. He's able to have that with Mike McCarthy because of their relationship stemming back to New Orleans when they were there as young guys there. So that gives him a level of comfort as a general manager to where, you know, you're going to subscribe to kind of what I'm doing. I'm going to subscribe to what you're doing. We have this rapport. As it pertains to the organization and Art Rooney, he said it, and I believe this to be true. He understands this is a league about winning, and Mike McCarthy has done that. He's missed the postseason 6 times. 3 of those times were due to him not having his quarterback for the entire season twice. His first year and last year in Dallas, and then in 17, I believe, in Green Bay.
His last year there, yeah.
His second to last year.
In Dallas, his first year in Dallas and his last year in Dallas, Dak Prescott got injured. Right. And then 2017, Aaron Rodgers got injured. He was gone in 18.
Yep.
And so when you look at that, it's not necessarily about, okay, how does he perform in the postseason? First, you got to get there. And he talked about how you perform in sustaining the success in the postseason. He spoke to that. You got to have the guys on the roster. If the Pittsburgh Steelers are currently, as they are constructed, able to do what they did this year or be a little bit better, he talked about Mike Tomlin leaving him a full cupboard pretty much. That was due to a lot of what Aaron Rodgers was able to do. So I can understand why you would hire a Mike McCarthy because he has the track record. He's proven he can win, especially when he's had that guy obviously in his prime. But if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you really want this opportunity to leverage what you have in Aaron Rodgers to allow Will Howard, which seemingly seems to be like the direction they're leaning in terms of growing and developing a quarterback.
I do like Will Howard.
Like, you want him to be under the tutelage of a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and you want to see if you can pair that with Mike McCarthy. He has familiarity there. It makes sense. It gives you another year to allow that quarterback school to take place that Mike McCarthy always speaks of.
I like that part. Will Howard, I mean, I liked him at Ohio State. Maybe, you know, I think he's got potential, maybe. We'll see. But I like the tutelage aspect. And the thing is, we think of McCarthy as this old guy. He's younger than John Harbaugh. Like, McCarthy's 62, Harbaugh 63. So that's, I guess, because he coached well, they both coached young. But anyway, I think if they win next year, like bringing back, having McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers what are they going to do next year? If they win 10 games and make the play, they have no chance of reaching the Super Bowl. None. So to me, it's spinning your wheels. It's just running in place at best. And I'm not even sure they're going to win that many games. They won the division this year because Lamar was hurt, and it was a weird year for the Ravens. Obviously, the Bengals were hurt too, or Joe Burrow's hurt. But the reason the Steelers have been so tough, Greg, is because of their defense. And McCarthy, a lot of the blame went on the defense as to why Aaron Rodgers couldn't get to another Super Bowl with McCarthy. You know, so is he going to bring that same defensive focus that Tomlin had? And if they're not tough defensively, that offense is not going to be good enough to get them 10 wins, I don't believe, if the defense isn't there.
So it's just it's the kind of the inverted situation of what they currently had, because offensively, his teams have always performed.
Yeah, but the last year he was in Green Bay with Rodgers, they were 6-9, 6-9-1.
That was the one bad year with a healthy quarterback.
Right, but again, Rodgers, I just think an old Rodgers and McCarthy together, I haven't seen that that's going to work. I think McCarthy's a good coach, don't get me wrong, but if I'm
hiring Mike McCarthy because I feel like, man, I want a guy who I believe can get the most out of quarterbacks. The last thing I want is a 42-year-old Rodgers. To me, the whole idea behind it would be maybe he can get whatever there is out of Will Howard or who we draft or who we're going to draft the following year or see if he can turn Malik Willis into the next Sam Darnold. Something like that. I'm not going to kill the hire based on I have been very critical of Mike McCarthy's game management.
Yep.
But other than that, the resume is very similar to Tomlin, Sean Payton, and John Harbaugh, who everybody likes. So I will be fair there because I do think he kind of has worse PR than the other three one-time Super Bowl winning coaches of his era. But when you sign up for Aaron Rodgers, whether you acknowledge it or not, what you're also signing up for is Adam Thielen taking snaps away from your rookie fourth-round pick. And MVS, you are going to be an old win-now team.
Right, and
I don't think they have enough talent to be win-win now. And I would rather try to play young players and develop and build something.
Out of Buffalo, Greg, Josh Allen, brand new coach. Actually, it's his current OC. Joe Brady. It's a fresh start, kind of. Do you think the Bills got better with this hire?
So I'm not sure if they got better because that's to be seen. However, I think when we talk about guys like Caleb getting his head coach and coordinator and having a longer runway now with him, the development and the idea of that's what we're growing with. That's kind of the mindset when you're ownership and you're thinking about Josh Allen and what we saw from Joe Brady in the development of Josh Allen. Like we saw him trend in a different direction with taking the ball out of his hands, playing a smarter brand of football. That all stemmed from Joe Brady taking over as offensive play caller. When you are in that position, you also have to answer to a head coach. Like, okay, do we go for it on fourth down? What do you think, coach? I don't know. I'm not in control of the defense. Now he's a head coach. He already has the quarterback in lockstep. Can they get better offensively, weapon-wise? Of course. However, now you have the overarching, this is the power to I want to go for it on fourth down. I don't have to answer to anybody, or I don't want to go for it on fourth down, or this is the type of defensive guy that I want to bring in. So that's to be seen. I think we will get a good version of the Bills offense because that's what we come to expect. How great depends on what they end up looking like from a skill position.
So here would be my concern. I think Josh Allen as your quarterback gives your offense a very high floor. A higher floor actually than most great quarterbacks because he can be such just a great power runner. That, you know what I mean? There are certain things that I think Josh and Lamar create at their best and when they're healthy. You're just averaging 20 a game. It almost is, independent of a floor of 20.
Darn near 30.
Right. And so my concern would be this. I understand that in the playoffs, most notably in games against Patrick Mahomes, but now also a game against Bo Nix, the defense got shredded in those playoff games from the AFC Championship game in 2020 to this last 6 straight years of the playoff game they lost. They got shredded. In the regular season, I believe these defenses every year, including this one, outperformed their talent level. I think the Bills had excellent defenses without necessarily having a bunch of excellent defensive personnel.
And guys were hurt.
Right, and that is where I think the value of Sean McDermott was, and that is the risk of the cost of this and the risk of this. Add to it, you love Joe Brady as a play caller. Is he going to be, and we haven't seen the press conference yet, we don't know yet, are you going to ask rookie young head coach Joe Brady to also be play caller? Because some guys can do it.
They did it with Matt LaFleur. They're doing it with Ben Johnson.
They do it with Kevin O'Connell. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it is a lot to ask. They tried it with Sirianni. He gave it up. You know what I mean? There are other guys that have, given it up because it's too much. When Matt, the head coach of the Lions, sorry, Dan Campbell. When Dan Campbell took it over, I think that hurt them a bit this year. It's a lot. So it is a risky move that I'm sure Josh Allen was comfortable with. He sat in on the interviews and he knows the guy. But I can't say they got better today.
Well, I think the defense, and they gave up 27 to the Bengals in that playoff game they lost. And then if I remember correctly that year, didn't the Dolphins give them some problems?
Yes, but
with backups?
Yeah, they did. But that game, Josh, I think, had 2 picks and 3 fumbles. And so it was a lot. Skylar Thompson, it was high scoring, but I think a lot of adverse situations.
But I agree. Look, that is offensively, Greg, I think they're going to be at least as good. I think they're going to just hit the road where they are and take off, and they'll either be a little better or they'll be at least the same. And if they get a top-notch receiver, they should be better. So I feel like this hire essentially guarantees that they're not going to go backwards. They're going to be a contender just like they have been. The question
is, it's a guarantee?
Yeah.
On offense or across the board?
Across the board. I agree with Nick. The defense, that's the biggest question, because who's going to be you said they already hired the DC, and I agree. McDermott was great there. They had a lot of injuries, and they still always were very good in the regular season. But the postseason, they failed, and miserably. I mean, they would give up 30 points a game in the playoff losses and things like that, 30 plus. So I agree that it's somewhat of a question. It is a question. What's the defense going to look like? But I think the offense will be so good, and I just trust that they'll hire. I think they'll still be solid defensively.
Can I hit a trivia question for you? Because I'm just off the top of my head. And I know this is recency bias. It's very interesting that, like you said, the owners of the teams were like, hey, we hit a wall, and we really just need to get over this wall, but we're right there on the edge. The successful coaching hires that we've seen recently took over for kind of messes and were successful. Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, Sean Payton. Is there an example that we can point to? It's like, here was an internal hire that just got us, right? We went from here to there. And that was it. We had to actually remove McDermott.
Historically, it's guys like Parcells. I asked Josh about this. George Seifert. I mean, it is a while ago.
If you look at it through another lens, like, did the Bills get worse by letting Sean McDermott go? I think you would say, yeah, that's on the board.
That's definitely on the board.
But that's what I'm saying. You're like, it's a guarantee. I'm like, well,
was
McDermott
Gary
pretty
Kubiak,
good?
Josh, with the Broncos? Because the Broncos, the thing is this, it's very rare that a really good team moves on from their head coach. So it's more often it's bad teams. But odd. John Fox was the coach of the Broncos with Peyton.
Yes.
And then Gary Kubiak took over, and they got to the Super Bowl, or they won the Super Bowl. But I don't remember if Gary Kubiak was on that staff or not.
Maybe McCarthy. Maybe McCarthy LaFleur.
LaFleur was on the McCarthy staff.
No, he wasn't.
No, I'm saying if just like, hey, we're still good and we're getting there.
No, Kubiak came in from the outside.
Like, I think he has to, when you compare to like what Ben Johnson was able to do, and some of the other guys, like when you have a coach and you lock them with their quarterback and they're young, the benefit stems, or the advantage you then have is you have to go out and get an offense or a head coach-minded defensive coordinator, somebody who's been in the head coach. Because you look at Ben Johnson, he has Dennis Allen.
Right.
Had been a head coach.
Well, that's not what they did. They got Jim Leonard. Jim Leonard, who had been.
Well, no, I know. That's my point. You would think that would have been the philosophy. This is why I'm saying I don't know if they are going to get better. I'm not willing to guarantee like you are.
The defense is the question.
I Sean McDermott, to your point, he covered a lot of voids.
I think it's.
But risky. I think, offense is going to not miss a beat.
Patriots won 4 games the last 2 years. They did have an easy schedule and are now in the Super Bowl. Here's some headlines from the Patriots' run to the Super Bowl. From the New York Post: Patriots being win from Super Bowl. Hard not to view as incredibly lucky. That kind of hurt my feelings. This one really hurt my feelings. Cam Newton, we got Patriots jerseys. Come on. Cam Newton calls out Patriots for having, quote, easiest road in Super Bowl in NFL history, to the Super Bowl in NFL history. And then finally, Yahoo Sports, the Patriots have been gifted a path to the Super Bowl. Nick, we have a special edition of not title pie, it's credit pie. And as always, since we do a pie-based segment, it gives us a chance to expense a pie.
Yeah, what type of pie is it?
And it also ruins the segment, I would say.
I understand.
I don't
Brew
think
can't eat anymore.
I don't. Oh yeah, you're off of pie.
Look.
Y'all trying to hurt
Is it
a brother.
Mississippi
It's
mud?
Mississippi mud, of course.
Oh, my goodness. Well, KW, it's going to be all you. Because
smells
Brew's
delicious.
off pie.
I
Greg hasn't eaten a pie in 30 years. And obviously, you don't get this physique by eating a bunch of sugar.
That's true.
So, so it's all you.
So
all right.
Credit pie.
And it's actually 2 pies.
2 pies.
I did a regular season and a playoff version.
Oh, excellent.
Regular season credit pie, and we'll go quickly here. I am going 5% luck. And that, I think, is less than typical. I actually think they were, I don't think they had, like, you don't look at a bunch of Patriot games like, oh, my God, that one lucky bounce, whatever play.
Now, this is the playoffs.
I'm about to show you the playoffs in a minute.
Oh, okay.
This is the regular season.
Okay.
Regular season, 5% luck, 15% schedule. All right, a little less than 1/6, where they had literally the softest schedule this century. That's not nothing. 20%, what you were calling their underrated defense. Actually, you were calling it overrated, but now you think it's underrated.
Yeah.
You thought they were like, you just made some Glass Joe comparisons, Mike Tyson's Punch Out. 25% Drake Maye. And that's the offense as a whole, but I'm giving Maye the lion's share of it. You got MVP level play
Maye and friends.
Yeah, from your quarterback. And I didn't love the supporting cast going into the year. Now, maybe it was underrated, but
unbelievable.
And I'm giving 35% to Vrabel and Josh McDaniels on the coaching staff. And I think that is, so in the regular season, that's how I saw it shake out. Here is how that has changed for the postseason. In the postseason, the schedule / luck, 5%. I don't think they've had an incredibly easy schedule as far as route to the Super Bowl. I do think you get 5% luck because the opposing team's quarterback broke his ankle on the final play of the divisional round, and it's never happened before. That, to me, is luck. I'm giving 15% to Maye and friends. I am giving 35% to Vrabel and the coaching, and I am giving 45%.
I like that.
To the defense, which has shut down every opponent they have faced, made Herbert look terrible, made C.J. Stroud play the worst half of playoff football we've seen since Jake Delhomme, and they allowed one play to Stidham and then shut him down the rest of the way. So that is the postseason credit pie. Brew?
Not bad. I differ. I am going to give 45. We're same on the defense, 45%. I'm giving 25% to Vrabel.
Okay.
I'm giving 25% to Drake Maye.
Okay.
Because he's made some big plays.
So you're taking 10% from coaching and giving it to Drake.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I guess this falls in the line of luck. Yeah. Sorry, CJ, but 3% CJ Stroud.
Wow.
And 2% to the injury to Bo Nix. I mean, I guess that's luck. But CJ, I said it on that show. CJ has to wear that loss.
Yeah.
Well, CJ has to wear that. I think they should have beat y'all, but if they don't throw all those picks.
Look, I didn't do the pie. When you.
It's credit pie.
I know it's credit pie. Well, I'm not
whatever. Do you?
If I were to put percentages, I didn't put percentages on mine.
I'm just messing with you,
If I were to put percentages, I would go 50%, and I'll just go strictly playoffs. I would go with 50% was coaching.
Wow.
Which is a lot. I know it's a lot, but a lot of the scheme, a lot of the calls that we saw and the adjustments that we saw offensively, definitely defensively, stemmed from coaching, getting healthy, obviously. I would give 25% to then the defense. Drake Maye, I will stick with the 15%. And what do I have
10 left.
I have 10. I'm not going to give that all to luck. I'll give 3% to luck and then
7% to
7%.
Mother Nature.
7%. Look, that offensive unit, they had a variety of guys that just played well too. So I'll give that to them, the offense. But
The
Drake Maye,
non-Drake Maye offense.
when you have a quarterback that's consistent, and they had that all season long, you have a defense that's evolving and getting healthy, and health, that was the thing I wanted to give the 7% to, the health. You have a defense that's progressing and evolving, and you have coaching. You got the three most necessary ingredients to have success. I don't care. Everybody, every year has to have a little bit of luck.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of ball bouncing their way, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It happens to any and everybody. So I don't put all that, those headlines and all that. Don't let them stir you up. Wow.
Yeah, with Mac Hollins coming back, Patriots are at full strength going into the Super Bowl. Full strength.
Again,
Nobody like.
that was
catches, too.
the health is important. 'Cause
Yeah.
you just don't get this. Exactly. Did you not
Lamar
just
has given no indication
Start competing.
that he wants out of Baltimore, but Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk says it's not a guarantee that he's under center for the Ravens in Week 1. Do you buy that?
I will just say this. It seems like Florio's been hearing some of the same stuff I've been hearing, which is not that Lamar Jackson is leaving or Lamar Jackson wants to leave, but that it is 100% guaranteed that Josh Allen's the quarterback of the Bills next year. It's 100% guaranteed that Patrick Mahomes is quarterback of the Chiefs next year. I don't think it's 100% with Lamar, and I think the contract stuff is going to be more complicated than Broussard made it sound like at the press conference.
Look, I could see it being contentious contract negotiations, but what he said, and to me this is reckless speculation. What he just said is Lamar might play out the next 2 years and then walk as a free agent.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm 29 years old, I'm a running quarterback, I've been coming off all these injuries, I want to lock up as much money as I can now. Because 2 years from now, I might be banged up and coming off a season where I missed 10, 12 games. So to me, that makes no sense. Secondly, why in the world would if Lamar Jackson were to leave, now if he gets traded, that's one thing. If he were to leave the Ravens for Miami, as the state that Miami's in right now, the Dolphins, or ask for a trade to Miami, you ain't about winning. You ain't about winning. You are on the cusp of being able to win a Super Bowl, and if you don't, it's on you, it's on Derrick Henry, it's on that vaunted defense, it's on your new coach. But if you were to leave a team that's close to go to Miami, where they aren't nowhere near close, you want to rack up stats, or you want to enjoy your life in Miami and make a lot of money. But I can't imagine why a player would do that. Why would you
Lay it out like that. It doesn't sound.
I mean, I'm just saying.
You want to enjoy your life, make a lot of money, put up stats. I'm like, wow.
No. And there are athletes that want that. I think Lamar wants, the thing he needs to get is a Super Bowl, and he's close.
But, Brew, you wouldn't think that a fully healthy Lamar Jackson makes almost any team a contender? Yeah. No, I mean, again, Miami was a playoff team not that long ago.
But they haven't been close to a Super Bowl in decades.
So sometimes I think we get too far removed from what players say and how they really feel about a situation. When you get drafted to a team, you have the thought process of, this is it. This is my team. I'm going to be loyal to them. They're going to be loyal to me. Steve Broussard is showing that Lamar, you're my guy. Lamar has stated, I want to win a Super Bowl for Baltimore, for this Ravens franchise. He has said that time and time again. What makes me believe that he's just going to walk away from that? He has shown, regardless of how we feel about him not playing, being injured, could he have played or whatever, he's shown an extreme amount of loyalty. And I think players, to our detriment at times, show more loyalty than organizations do to us. And I just believe Lamar Jackson, because of his statement of what he said, he wants to try to execute that. This getting rid of John Harbaugh, whether he was involved or that or not.
The reports are that it was some of him.
Regardless, he feels like he can still get this done. and deliver on his promise.
And he was, remember, he was in the meetings, like on Zoom, but in some of the meetings with the coaches. Steve Bisciotti was right to say Lamar's not picking our coach. But I would imagine if Lamar would have been like, nah.
But he said he was going to be involved in it.
Right, I'm not really on, I just, yeah.
No, I buy all that. And I also think moving on from Harbaugh helped Lamar's future with the Ravens immensely. But if we're going to go back in time and talk about things Lamar has said, we are also 3 years removed from Lamar Jackson saying, I'm demanding a trade from the Baltimore Ravens.
I was waiting for that.
The last time he was in a contentious contract negotiation.
And I tell you right now, when you feel like you've been slighted, when you feel like you've been taken advantage of, and you're in your emotions, you will say something like that.
But that's my concern is, could those emotions come back with this contract negotiation?
Well, when you have your ownership that has spoken, and none of us I hadn't heard from Steve Bisciotti before, and now all of a sudden he's speaking like, Lamar, Lamar's going to be a part of it. I'm not giving any player power, but Lamar's going to be a part of our process moving forward as far as our interview process. Man, Lamar's going to be a Raven.